Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining us for the Smart Wealth Strong Legacy Financial and Succession Planning Strategies for Small Business workshop, webinar, and kickoff. Here we'll be discussing today lessons in wealth building, and I'm joined by our sponsor, Kimberly Edwards of US Bank. And we'll just give folks a few minutes to make their way, but we will get started shortly. Just wanted to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us. All right. So as not to delay any further, we wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you again for joining us. We are so excited that you are here today to learn more about our exciting event in October, where we'll gather in person in Charlotte to discuss the Smart Wealth and Strong Legacy Lessons in Wealth Building workshop. And today we just really wanted to kind of give you a taste of what that workshop will entail and try to entice you to actually come and join us in person. And so with that, first, let me introduce myself formally. My name is Darlene DeBerry. I am the Senior Economic Development Manager here at NC Growth. NC Growth is an institution, a university center within the Kenan Institute at UNC Chapel Hill. We are, in fact, have been around for about 13 years, so I don't know if you've heard about us, but we are excited to participate in economic development all across the state, as well as in South Carolina and Virginia. And certainly happy to have the opportunity, along with the support of US Bank and also our partnership with the Mecklenburg County Office of Economic Development, to bring this event to you today. And so we are really doing this in a spirit of entrepreneurship and economic development. Our goal at NC Growth is to develop strong economies by creating opportunities for good jobs and new wealth in economically distressed communities. And I will turn it over to Kimberly to make an introduction of herself as well.
Thank you so much, Darlene. And I'm excited about this opportunity that you've brought to US Bank to have the conversation. I am Kimberly Edwards. I work for US Bank. I might know a couple of folks that are here today. I'm a part of the US Bank Access Commitment, which is a greater commitment that helps individuals with filling that wealth gap. And I sit on the access business side of that commitment, which is really focused on helping small business owners, entrepreneurs in focusing their time, building up their business, scaling their business, and then doing some of the things that we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited about that. So Kimberly Edwards, a US Bank, and excited to be working with NC Growth and UNC Chapel Hill Kenan Institute.
So with that, we had an initial question for you, and we really wanted to make this a bit participatory. We have a question: how confident are you in your organization or family succession plan? And would you just drop in the chat if you're confident, not confident, or somewhere in between? And we just kind of want to see the range of how people are feeling about succession planning. Is this a topic that you've thought about, but you haven't really engaged with? Is it something that your family has kind of hinted to? Or even if you work in the realm of economic development, is it something that you see kind of coming to the forefront? So if you would drop in the chat that response.
Right. And as we get responses, think about your family succession, and in terms of building legacy, right? And also focusing your attention on who in the family is that has that leadership, responsibility, or if it's multiple people, what does that look like? So have you had those conversations? If you're a business owner, have you thought about what your business succession plan looks like? Who will take over your business? And I see a message that says, can everyone see the screen okay? And the question that's there? Just want to make sure.
I'll drop the question in the chat.
Okay, good stuff. But again, if you're a small business owner, think about who's going to take over your business. Is it someone that you've already identified? Um, is it someone that's in the family? But really think about, have you started having those conversations, and or do you have that, already planned? So what's your confidence level there?
Okay. So
Someone sent me a
okay.
message saying chat is disabled.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I got it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Megan. I just found out that we couldn't use the chat. But anyway, we're going to take it on a report that we maybe have a mixed bag in terms of the response confident, not confident, or somewhere in
Sure.
between. And thank you for at least attempting to participate in that question.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as we move forward, again, NC Growth and US Bank really have a heart for community. And so everything that we do is toward building stronger communities economically. And our main purpose in providing this succession planning workshop is to really elevate that discussion about how succession planning can play a pivotal role in supporting strong communities, but also leveraging keeping businesses that were instrumental in communities' development in the first place alive. And in addition to that, we have a strong commitment to ensuring that the next generation has every opportunity to succeed, and the wealth of families or wealth that families have created is not lost. And so that's really at the heart of everything that we're doing here for this workshop. So we'll get right into kind of the nature of what we hope to accomplish as we share these lessons out to the community. And so Kimberly, I'm going to turn it over to you for this first slide on lessons.
Sure. So, when we approach this whole idea about wealth building and succession planning, there are many different topics that have come up in terms of having a well-rounded conversation, and just really getting in there and talking about the different facets and compartmentalizing wealth building and succession planning. So, we've labeled these lessons one, lesson two, lesson three. We're really talking about what the sessions will be comprised of. So, wealth management strategies for business continuity and long-term financial growth. That's a lot of words there. But what it means is that, how are you looking at your financial disposition right now? And how are you planning for when you have to make that transition with your business? There's a lot of financial input that has to happen in order for you to be at that place where you can actually transition that business over. Debt has to be paid down. There's many different considerations that you have to think about. There's even, for individuals that are exiting out of their business, because exiting out of a business can also be considered succession as well. And it's also an opportunity to protect the wealth that you have put into that business. What does that financial process looks like? If someone is buying your business, if you're selling that business, there's a financial transition that's happening, or transaction that's happening there. So this would be a great opportunity for us to talk to some experts that are a part of the U.S. Bank Wealth team, a part of the U.S. Bank Business Banking team, and then we have some other folks that are going to join in, experts in the area of having that conversation and what to prepare for. So that should be a really good one for all small business owners. Lesson number 2 is succession planning tools. So business evaluation. What is the business truly worth? I mean, are you pulling a number out of the sky, or are you working with professionals that are helping you walk up to that number in terms of selling your business and what that business is actually valued for? There's many different components to that. So then there's also legal considerations. So what is the legality behind selling your business? How are you, what are these transactions looking like? There's asset transactions that's happening. There's land preservation considerations during that process, trust, ESOPs. There's so many different legal considerations in that way. So we have legal firms that will be chiming in to have that discussion about legal considerations. And then employee ownership models explained. So that's a new one. This might be new to some folks, and we will use that opportunity to talk about, the employee ownership model. But there might be some other types of considerations whenever there's a succession planning transaction that's happening that might be a better perspective to look at in terms of that actual purchase or that transaction. So some good stuff there. The lesson number 3 that we have here, or session number 3, we'll talk about preparation for business transfers. So again, continuing on that finance piece, the biggest part that I think I want to emphasize is the wealth protection piece. There's a lot that can be lost in the transition of a business, and there's a lot that can be gained. So having experts have that conversation, individuals that have actually, this is what they do all day long, I think is an opportunity for you to come to this event and be in the room and have that opportunity to hear all of these different experts at one time. So I'll turn the continuing part over to you, Darlene, so you can continue the explanation of the lessons.
Yeah, more lessons. So it should read lesson 4, 5, and 6. I apologize. But family governance is one of those areas where we really don't talk about it until we talk about it. And I'll put it like that. Until, the funeral arrangements are being made, or the owner is incapacitated, or, it's an emergency to figure out what happens next because the person who has been running the business all along is no longer capable. But before families kind of find themselves in that conundrum, we offer a different lens or a different focus to that. And so we'll have an expert to talk about family governance and how it really should be a part of the conversations that you're having with your children. It should be a part of the table conversations families are having, or even in terms of employees that are stellar, how that family kind of navigates that space means that a lot of different pieces need to work together. And when we talk about transferring the leadership to the next generation, it could mean children wanting to stay in the business or not. How do you deal with that? It could mean picking an employee to have an equity stake and still work with the children that have an equity stake. So there's lots of different models to consider, but more importantly, it's about leadership, and it's about also respecting your leadership style and understanding leadership styles that lead to open conversations and leadership styles that are more authoritarian. So we'll have an expert to kind of talk about that as well. Heirs property in the 21st century, simply put, there are folks that own land, and it can be very complex depending on if you have 1 owners or 5 owners, or maybe even 10 owners in a family of a property. And so it's important to understand what the implications of that are. And not only that, from a tax perspective, like what happens when only 1 member is paying the taxes on the property. So you get the benefit of learning how to best protect that asset asset and not lose it. And also what is required from a governmental and estate planning focus. And then lastly, we thought that why succession planning matters as an engine for entrepreneurship and community economic development is because of the silver tsunami. The silver tsunami simply is the baby boomers 55 and up now having a majority of business ownership across America and retiring.
Mhm.
They're at retirement age. So what happens next? What happens if all the people in your community decide to just fold up shop and, go live in Florida? Well, we're saying here that there's enough population in that group to warrant a discussion about transferring ownership, transferring opportunities to the next generation. And it is community economic development because a job loss is impactful to any community. A business loss to that community is multiple jobs lost in a community. So we really wanted to elevate that conversation here as well. So Kimberly, back to you.
Absolutely. So a lot of the highlights here, I'm not going to read them verbatim, but you can see, I mean, I think when we think about these types of conferences, the thing that we should really hone in on is, we're coming together as a community of people to have a discussion that's important to all of us, right? And Darlene, you so eloquently explained that in terms of, this silver tsunami is going to affect all of us, right? If one small business is lost, that affects a community. So I think the biggest thing that I'm enjoying about this whole event and how it's coming together is that you have experts in one room, and that's an opportunity for all of us to hone in and gain information, to glean from so much information that's going to be shared that day. So definitely join us. We have powerhouse presentations. Listen, it's an early morning breakfast, so we want to make sure that it's interactive. We have people moving, speaking. There's audience participation, so we want to make sure that we have the audience, chiming in on some of their thoughts. We have some really great real life experiences that I'm excited about. Individuals that are either in the process of this, they're transitioning their business over to someone in the family, or they're at that place where they're deciding, okay, what's next? We also have some folks who will speak to how they've gone, they've approached business ownership in the sense of they're 10 years in and then they're out, and they have exit strategies for what that looks like. So some really good real life examples, ways that you should really start thinking about your businesses, especially if you've been in business for 5 years and you've already, put some of your wealth towards that business. You should really think about how, you will, how you will sustain that business in a healthy way, and then how you will transition out of it. And then practical advice. These are things that you can use even if you don't have a business. So say you're joining and you're just thinking about wealth. That wealth conversation that we're going to have is applicable to all of us, right? How are we saving? How are we looking at investments? Now more than ever is the time that we, based on where we are as a country, we need to really think about ways to protect our wealth, right? Because it matters now more than ever. So really good practical advice. And then networking, always when we get together, we should always be networking. So really good organizations and companies that will be there, and then opportunities for the attendees to network. So I'm excited about this event.
What Kimberly didn't say is that the event is free, and it is through the
Yes.
generous sponsorship of US Bank. And typically when there's a free event, there might be like the option to go or option to not go. We hope that you opt in. We have, as Kimberly mentioned, an exciting lineup for you. So as of now, we ask you to save the date for 9/22. It opens. If we've received your email registration for this event, then you automatically will receive an opportunity to register for the October 21st event. It is
Right.
from 8 to 12 in the afternoon. It's going to be at the beautiful Hyatt Centric in South Park, Chapel Hill, South Park, Charlotte. I'm in Chapel Hill. But certainly hope that you will consider not just bringing yourself, but bringing your family. I can't stress the importance of families hearing the same sound bites and in order to be able to digest it collectively as a family unit and business unit. So I
Yeah.
hope that you
So
will consider bringing your family.
yeah.
Also, there will be an opportunity, and even now, if you want to use your phone, so we are researchers here at NC Growth. We do applied research. It helps us to inform how to continue to strengthen our communities. And so this survey is really asking questions about your family communication and your leadership. And what I love about this survey in particular, it will provoke you to think about just how are you communicating with your elders of the family? How are you communicating with your children in the family? What is the leadership infrastructure that's a part of your family? And if those are questions that you haven't considered, I ask you to take the survey and certainly share it with any other community businesses that you know that might also need to kind of have that discussion.
Yeah. And
So
yeah, and Darlene, if I could chime in really quickly, just a
yeah.
couple of housekeeping things. Make sure that you register. You must register for this event. So it is a professional event. So, you know, little ones wouldn't be something appropriate to bring little ones to. It is a professional event in that way. But, you know, everyone that's part of your group or your family or your organization that you might be here with, they do need to register. It is a free event. We want to make sure that we had as many people as possible. So make sure that you do register because we will be having a check-in earlier that morning. Just wanted to chime in on that.
Yeah, that's great. So Kimberly went right into the next action item number 3, invite, invite, invite. Our guests are established businesses, farmers, and then heirs. Heirs are people scheduled to inherit the property or the business. And then ecosystem partners are those of us who are working with small businesses, and we may know community businesses that could benefit from this generous offering of information. So the question that we put back to you, who do you know that could benefit from this workshop? And that is something for you to take back from today's discussion and make sure that you share the information with them. I'm hopeful that we'll have 150 guests or more join us on the 21st of October. So now we're opening it up for questions. Since we can't put questions in the chat, how do we get questions?
Why don't, if we can't do the chat, you guys are welcome to reach
And
out to us.
Q&A.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I'll put my email in the chat. And
Yeah,
then
I'm trying to open
Darlene,
Q&A
yeah,
too.
and definitely reach out to us with any questions. Before we close out, I just want to take a moment, and I think Darlene as well, this touches her as well, to just highlight September 11th. This day is a very special day that I think everyone that is a part of this call will never forget where they were the day September 11th, 2001. It's been 24 years. 24 years since this happened, but the same impact, same thought, same feeling. So I just want to take a minute because we are in the anniversary of September 11th. 2,800 lives, close to 3,000 people lost their lives that day. So take a moment of silence when you have a second throughout the day, just to remember those lives that we lost during September 11th in 2001. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kimberly. And I'm always brought back to the fact that I used to work in the towers as a young professional and even knew some of the people that were in the tower on the day of. So it's a particularly emotional memory for me as just that was a part of my childhood upbringing, being in New York and being brought to the towers, and then also just working in the towers for a couple of years as I was a undergrad. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll also put my information in the chat. If you have any questions, I encourage you to reach out.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. So
and
again, September 22nd, registration will open. We look forward to having you there. Again, this will be an exciting event. It'll be a breakfast. We look to have some fun. There'll also be some vendor tables there as well, so you can get more information about some of the folks that will be presenting. So you can reach out to them after the event one-on-one, maybe have some discussions, maybe start discussions that haven't started yet. But a really good event about wealth building and succession planning and business financing in terms of preparing yourself throughout the lifetime of your life cycle of your business for that moment of transition, and then what that life cycle should look like for you to be ready when it's time to transition that business over. So some really good stuff there. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and I agree with Kimberly's comments and want to take this opportunity to thank you all for joining us today. Your presence is definitely appreciated, and we hope that you will help us to spread the word. And we hope that you have gained some knowledge even in the small interaction that we've had in this last 30 minutes or so. But thank you again, and everyone have a fantastic September 11th. Bye-bye.
Okay. Have a good rest of the day.